Let's now move to the lifespan managed portfolios. We're just going to quickly discuss what we've been doing over the last 3 months or so. I might start with fixed income and cash. Structurally, we've been sort of underweight duration, overweight high quality credit, probably underweight global bonds and overweight Australian bonds. We haven't really changed that. What we have done though is we've halved exposure to one of our global bond funds and moved that into a similar global bond fund. When I say it's similar, it has a similar strategy in that it invests in global bonds, but it has more flexibility to be more active. So it can have larger allocations to credit, larger allocations to sub-investment grade credit. We're not allocating to sub-investment grade credit directly at the moment because we think credit spreads are really tight. But at some point in time, that will become a good place to allocate. And we wanted some exposure to a manager who can do that. And so that's the reason for that allocation. But we haven't changed our overall exposure to global bonds. We've also replaced part of the exposure in a cash fund or a term deposit fund with an income fund that invests in, again, very high quality short duration bonds. So it's slightly higher risk than term deposit, still extremely low risk, but we expect to get a significantly higher return. And this fund is 60% invested in bank bonds. Sorry, it's 100% invested in bank bonds. 60% of those are big four banks, and the other 40% are Australian banks. So extremely safe, but more bang for buck for your money, because we do like high quality credit over cash at the moment, and you're not getting that significantly higher return for term deposits at the moment. Like, you're only getting maybe 20, 30, 40 basis points higher than the cash rate. Historically, that's been as high as 1 or 2%, but it hasn't been that way for a long time. So that's what we've done. That's what we've sort of done in the fixed interest space in the last 3 or 4 months. In the growth space, the main thing we've done is we've got a view that global REITs, which is basically global property, listed property, is undervalued. It's been a poor performer for a long time, and we haven't had an allocation in the portfolios for about 10 or 11 years, up until I think earlier this year or late last year. We started with a very small allocation in our strategic portfolios. So we've increased that. We think it's now a good time to go in, and I won't bore everybody with all the research behind that, but we just think on a valuation basis and structural basis, it's a good time to go in. It's also a way to get access to growth without piling more into Aussie equities and global equities that we already have a lot in. And we've also increased our exposure to infrastructure, global listed infrastructure, that is. And again, infrastructure investments can benefit well from inflationary increases because they could just pass on those increases to their customers, particularly where they're a monopolistic type piece of infrastructure, which you often find in various places. And we've actually reduced our allocation to Australian REITs. Again, it's largely based on valuation. We think global REITs and global infrastructure will do better, but we still have a place for Australian REITs in the portfolio. So they're kind of the main changes that we've made that are worth talking about. And we still have a decent allocation. We're still underweight growth and equities, but not too underweight. And we've got a fair bit of exposure outside of the very large cap Australian and US stocks.